Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Richel Attafuah and I'm a second year grad student reading statistics at Miami University, and I'm so excited I'm doing this beginners for Python series. So today we're going to do our first code along project. We're going to build something beautiful. It's going to be a very simple game. So actually, what is this project going to be about? So I don't know if any of y'all have heard about this rock paper scissors game. So actually we are going to build a very simple Python program that is actually going to play this rock paper scissors game. I know you guys are gonna love it. It's very simple. It's actually applying everything we've learned, from variables to understanding numbers to understanding data types to understanding loops. These simple things we've learned, we're going to build our very first project incorporating all this basic knowledge. So actually, what is this rock paper scissors game? So with this game, we are going to actually build a very simple game with what we've learned. As I said, we are going to actually let a user play with a computer, right, where the user gets to make decisions from a list of choices. The computer is also going to do the same. So the list of choices a user has is rock, paper, scissors, and the computer too has that same list of choices, which is going to pick by random choice, or going to pick randomly, meaning every single choice has an equal probability of being selected. That is what we're actually going to do. So how does this rock, paper, scissors game work? So if I pick rock and you pick scissors, I win. If I pick paper and you pick scissors, I win. If I pick paper and you pick rock, you win. So actually that's the basic kind of analogy we are going to use to kind of build this simple game. I know you guys are going to love it. It's not anything complicated. It's very simple so that you guys fall in love with Python day in, day in, letting you understand the very progress you've been able to make even with this simple lesson. So I'm not going to talk too much. We're going to get into it, and as we are building together, I'm going to explain more in details about this simple rock, paper, scissors game. Let's get into it. So before we actually start coding, you can actually open your Jupyter Notebook or Google Colab. If you've not watched the video on how to do it, kindly watch the previous video before this one. I go in depth on how to actually download the Anaconda to get a Jupyter Notebook, or how to just use Google Colab from your browser. So we can actually start with our very first game. So this is it. There's nothing on the notebook. I'm going to start. So I want to just do a very quick recap on the analogy for this game. So actually, this is how it goes. If you have paper, scissors can rip through a paper, right? If the computer chooses scissors and I choose paper, the computer wins because scissors can rip through paper, right? And if the computer chooses paper and I choose rock, paper wins because you can actually fold a paper over a rock. So paper overpowers rocks. And if you should choose a scissors and I choose a rock, rock wins because rock can actually kind of destroy scissors. So that's how very basic and simple it is. You can actually use different choices or names of your choice. What matters is you just understand what we are doing. We're just going to use the simple things we've studied to just make this very interactive and interesting game. Because we are not going to use two players, we're going to just do the simple game of one player against the computer. So what a computer is going to do is the computer is also going to choose from these different choices, but it's going to be randomly, where every single choice has the same probability of being selected. So Python has libraries that you actually import tools you want to use from. So today we are going to use the random because we want the computer to select these different choices randomly. So to be able to use that, you use the keyword import. So we are going to do import random, right? So let's start. So that's going to be the first thing we do. So in our first cell, we're going to choose import random. run it. I told you go here to run it. So we already have the import random there. So what are the different choices a player or the computer is going to select from? Rock, paper, and scissors. So you're going to put these 3 choices in a list, right? And because they are strings, don't forget you're supposed to put the quotations around them. So I'm going to name it as choices. That is my variable name. I told you your variable name must make sense. If you've not watched the first video, please do that. So your variable names must make sense. We're going to name it choices. So we're going to use a square bracket. And the first thing I'm going to put is scissors. Then the next thing is going to be rock. The next thing is going to be paper. So this, I'm going to run that. So this is my list of choices that I have, where I've actually put there. So now we can actually start our game. So what is the analogy? We are saying that, oh, if I choose paper, right? And the computer chooses rock, I win, right? So that's a simple, I'm going to put this in a comment so that it makes us understand. So paper overpowers paper overpowers rock. And we have that. So in Python, to comment, you use the star kind of hashtag kind of symbol. So I'm gonna say hashtag rock overpowers spelled overpowers wrong. Rock overpowers scissors, right? And we have the scissors overpowers paper. So this is going to help us in our analogy to actually build our program or our game that we actually want to work on. So the first thing we are going to do is, I told you if you want to repeat a task an infinite number of times, which loop do you use? The while loop. If you had that right, I'm proud of you. So the while loop is what we're going to use for this program, because the player can decide to play with the computer for as long as they want. It's a game. So we are going to say, okay, we need to have some conditions so that it tells, because I told you the while loop, if a condition is not met, it's going to actually run an infinite number of times. So we have to have a condition where when the player doesn't want to play anymore, it kind of puts that condition in, and the computer is going to start playing. It's going to understand that, you know what, this person is tired, I'm going to stop, right? So we are going to make that condition quit. So I'm going to put that there. So condition for game to stop is going to be quit. You can decide to use whatever you want. So for me, I'm choosing quit for this one. Then the next thing is, aside the fact that you're choosing quit for that, we need to tell the computer which conditions actually tell you that the player won or the computer won, based on what overpowers what that I kind of spoke about. That paper overpowers rock, rock overpowers scissors, scissors overpowers I spelled that wrongly. Scissors overpowers, Grammarly to the rescue. Scissors overpowers paper. So we are going to start building our program. Python has a keyword input, right? Where input kind of allows the user to key in whatever thing you're asking. So I'm going to demonstrate briefly. So I'm going to say name, right? I'm going to say input. What is your name? Right, I'm going to run that. So you see it's asking me, what is your name? So the input kind of makes the computer ask you the question. So I'm going to leave a bit of a space here so that it can kind of accommodate whatever it is I want to type. So what is your name? So I'm going to type Richel. So you see, input kind of allows the computer to take an input from you. So we're going to use that keyword in our game. We're going to tell the player input rock or paper or scissors, or input quit if you don't want to play the game anymore, right? So that is what we're going to do. So we're going to start building our program. So we're going to start with the while loop. So while true, so meaning while true, we are saying that, okay, so if the condition, all the conditions we are going to meet, if it's true, just do whatever it is under, print whatever it is. So I'm going to start with while true. So I'm going to now keep writing the different condition. So I told you input is going to allow us to take input from the player. So we're going to tell the player what to do. That enter rock or paper or scissors and quit to stop. So there's no two ways about it. You can choose what you want to do. Actually, I'm telling the user enter rock or paper or scissors or quit to stop, right? And you're going to leave a little space for your user to kind of type their answers in. Now, what is the next thing? I'm going to now start stating all my conditions because they are all going to be under the while loop. Remember, I told you that in Python, kind of like the order is very key. So you can actually use a tab to move there or just enter so that it's right under the line. I'm just going to leave a cute little space so that you understand I'm now starting my conditionals. So the first thing is, if the player says quit, I told you in Python, the equal to sign is double equal to, it's not just one, right? If you use one, it means you are assigning it to a variable name, right? So we're going to use two to kind of indicate this is equal to that, right? So if player equals to quit, right, that means what the input the player gives. What should Python do? Okay, so if the player says quit, we can say, oh, thank you for playing, or I hope you enjoyed this game, or see you next time, whatever thing you want. So I'm going to use print. Thank you for playing, right? So I'm just going to say thank you for playing, right? That is what I'm going to do. We are telling them that if player equals quit, print thank you for playing, right? And when the player says quit, we want the program to stop. We want the game to stop. So I told you in Python, if you just want it to stop, we spoke about a break and continuous in loops, remember? So we're going to say break. So once the condition is met where the player says quit, it's actually going to stop the program. So it's going to say, thank you for playing, it's going to stop. So I want what I'm going to type should be right under the if statement because I'm going to take the computer's response. So I'm going to call it computer, right? And what I want the computer to do is to pick randomly from the list of choices. So random dot choice of choices. So what this means is I want the program to actually pick one. I pick one after the other. That's why it's random dot choice. Random is, you know what, everything in this choice should have an equal chance of being selected, but pick it one at a time in the game. Do you get it? So computer equals random dot choices. Right now I'm going to go back to define my if statement of when what wins, computer wins, or when the player actually wins. So I'm going to say, okay, I want to actually know what the computer picked. So when the computer makes a selection, print computer's choice, then computer, right? So computer's choice. I want to see what the computer picked, right? So that is it. I want to see what the computer picked. So that is actually what I'm going to do. So I'm going to close that. And now I'm going to define the if statement of which one is better. So first, if what the player chooses is the same as what the computer chooses, there's a draw, right? We know that there's a draw. If what the player chooses and what the computer chooses is the same, it's a draw, right? So print, it is a draw. Okay, make sure they are aligned. It is. Nope. Have to be very careful about that. So, yeah. If so, you get to know it's aligned by the color. The color changes helps you to know that it's aligned. So the next thing is if I'm going to define what the player can choose. So if the player is equal to computer, so because it's going to be different choices, we're not going to use if, because I told you if you want to use you can't keep using a lot of if statements. So if, else, if, else, if, else, if. So we're going to just use elif. So elif, I'm going to just move here. So what are the conditions? That is what I defined earlier, that paper overpowers rock, rock overpowers scissors, scissors overpowers paper. So elif, computer equals rock, if player equals rock, and computer equals rock and what? Scissors. That means player wins. So I'm going to just use that basic analogy to just write it. So if player equals rock and the computer equals so rock overpowers scissors. If computer is scissors. Or, right? So, or we can write all of the conditions like on one line, but that is going to make it look too much. So simply, I'm just going to use the backslash and just move to the next line and just write my next elif statement, right? So, I'm gonna put this condition in the bracket. I forgot it with the open bracket. Okay, so enter. We're going to write the next condition, which is if the player is equal to, so if the player is equal to paper, right, and the computer, we learned how to use and then all conditions. So that is basically what we're using. So if this and this is met, if this and this is met, if this and this is met, then the player wins, else computer wins. So that's basically what we're doing. So the next thing I'm going to say is that, okay, so if paper overpowers rock, so I'm going to type in rock, put equal to sign, or remember the mistake I'm doing? Told you in Python, equal to has to be 2 equal to. So all what I was doing was assignment and not actually equal to. So it's good I made this mistake to kind of demonstrate. See how the color changes? It's working. So all what I was doing was just assignment. So now what I'm doing is actually saying if this is equal to that. So I should have waited to make an error come so that we debug our first code together. But that's okay. So, and if player equals scissors, and computer equals paper. Scissors overpowers paper. Then I'm going to tell it what to do. So I'm going to tell it, oh, if all these conditions are met, then print. Gosh, I think I have to align this a little bit better. I think I did a good job in that. Okay, so I'm going to say print player wins. Because if all these conditions are met for the player actually wins. Simple. Now we're going to add a else. So if none of these conditions are met, then automatically the computer wins, right? I'm going to print computer wins. So this is a very simple game. I'm going to go through it one more time before we run it. So the basic analogy I explained earlier is that paper overpowers rock, rock overpowers scissors, scissors overpowers paper. So in Python, input actually allows the user to key in a value. This is just a quick recap. So we are saying that while these conditions are true, do what the print statement is saying. So we are starting that for our while loop. So while all these conditions are true, do exactly what the print statements are saying. So while true, tell the player what to input. Hey, key in your key in rock, paper, or scissors, and quit if you don't want to play anymore. That is what this line is saying. Then this condition is saying if the player says quit, tell the player, oh, thank you for playing. I hope you enjoyed playing the game. Something of that sort. Break. I told you Python break is just when that condition is met. It's going to stop. So it's going to stop. It's not going to run any of these. It's not going to run everything that comes from computer, random, nothing. It's just going to stop as far as the player says, you know what, I'm done with this game. So what is going to happen if the player has not quit and the player is now starting the game? It's actually going to let a player choose. Then the next thing is going to tell the computer to choose from the list of choices. And it's going to tell the player, oh, this was the computer's choice. So looking at the player's choice and the computer's choice, what should it print out? So then it moves to the if and else block. It says, oh, if what the player chose and what the computer chose is the same, it's a draw. If the player chooses rock and computer chooses scissors, or if the player chooses paper and computer chooses rock, or if the player chooses scissors and computer chooses paper, the player wins. So these are the conditions for the player to win in the elif statement. Else, the computer wins. So this is like a very, very basic game. You can actually try different things on your own. So I'm going to run this. Okay, so we have an error. So it's time for us to debug. So actually our print statement is supposed to come inside the elif block. Let's run that again. So our or, it's saying that it's an invalid syntax. So we are saying this or this. So we're going to work on that well and make sure we work on it. So actually, guys, we're supposed to use a backslash, not a forward slash, to kind of tell it to move to the next line. So we're going to run that. Yay, our program is working. So I'm glad we had to debug our first code together. Refreshing, right? So we made a simple mistake with just a symbol. It's supposed to be backslash, it was forward slash. That's how Python works. The syntax can be a bit crazy, but you have to make sure that you're very good with that so that you don't make these simple key mistakes. But debugging is going to be part of the journey, and that is the beauty of learning. So it's telling us enter. It's asking the player. So I'm going to be the player. It's saying, enter rock or paper or scissors and quit to stop playing. So I'm going to enter paper, and it told me the computer's choice, and it's telling me the computer won. So you can see that it's not showing us the computer's choice, right? Do we see that? It's not actually telling us what the computer actually chose. Please, do we see that? So we'll have to debug that. Not showing us the computer choice because when we come to this line, we didn't actually put in the computer. So we're supposed to put in computer so that it shows us what a computer is selecting. So I'm going to run this again. I think I have to stop the line of code and run it again. It's asking me what I want. I'm going to say scissors this time. Computer wins again. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do paper. Computer's choice was rock. So I win. So now I'm going to play the last time and choose scissors. I win again. So you can see, I'm going to zoom in so that you see. So it says enter rock, paper, scissors, or quit to start playing. And I entered scissors here. And it's saying, it told me the computer's choice, which was rock. And it told me the computer won. So you see, it's going to keep repeating. It asks me again. I said paper, computer chose rock, so I win. It asks me again. I said scissors, computer chose paper, so I win, right? And it's asking me again. It's going to keep asking. That's why we had to add that choice for the player to be able to opt out, because it's not going to stop. I told you while loops are going to keep going. So I'm going to just type in quit. Okay, so I'm going to type in quit. Oh, quit is still continuing. So that means there's something wrong. If player equals quit, print thank you for playing and break. But why is it that it's still continuing? So that means we have something else to debug. Let's do it together. So guys, you realize that quit here is a string, but we forgot to put it in quotation. So Python is not identifying it here. So I have to put a quotation around it. Yes. And also one thing we forgot to do is for this part, we have to add dot lower, because what if our player decides to type cap lock or decides to type like everything in capital letters or in a different order from how we've defined them, as everything defined here in this chunk of code is in small letters. But what if the person decides to type caps lock or uppercase letters or anything? So using dot lower, whatever thing the user types is going to be converted to smaller case letters, so that it's going to be identified in our if, elif, and else kind of block that we have. So I'm going to go and type the quit again. So no, because I've not run the chunk of code after making the changes. So I'm going to run it again. I'm going to say rock. Now, even if I type rock this way, it's going to still identify it as small, that I typed it as small letters because of the dot lower. Now, let's do the quit. Thank you for playing. So first, our quit was not in as a string, wasn't identified as a string, so it wasn't actually working. But now we've troubleshoot and we've been able to do it. I'm so excited that we didn't just build our very first project, but also we're able to debug some of the simple issues that we had together. I hope you enjoyed this very simple first project. Let me know in the comments what project you're going to work on your own based on what we've studied. If you have any questions, troubles, or difficulties, let me know. I'm ready to help. And because this is just a project, there's not going to be any Medium posts on this. But if you have any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm going to put my LinkedIn in the description. Just let me know if you have any issues. Thank you for watching. Please do give this a thumbs up, share with your friends, and see you in the next video. Thank you.